Hey listeners, hope you're doing extremely well. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Friday Fact Check, where we'll be looking at some interesting and fascinating cricketing facts. If you enjoy listening to our show, do subscribe to our channel on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Simply search for the Outfield Show stream in your search bar and bam, just subscribe to us for more such daily content. You can follow us on Instagram at the Outfield Show stream as well for more such inspiring content through sport. Enjoy today's episode of Friday Fact Check. Well, today's date, but in 1983, that is the 14th of May 1983, the youngest captain in the history of Test cricket was born. Zimbabwe's Tatenda Taibu's rise in international cricket was prodigious to say the least. He was picked up from the Churchill Boys High School, sent off to a tour to the West Indies in 1999-2000 and quickly became a stand-in for Andy Flower, the captain. He also replaced him later on at the age of 19 years within 18 months from his debut. He became the youngest captain in Test cricket when Zimbabwe cricket was in midst of a chaos. But that didn't stand for long as he was forced into retirement by threats and intimidation. Though he reappeared in Zimbabwe colours in 2007. He announced his retirement from international cricket in July 2012 at the age of 29. He retired to focus on his work for the church. 4 years later, he returned to the game in an administrative capacity. Not many players get the opportunity to bow out with a historic and thrilling series win like Yunus Khan and Misbah-ul-Haq did in Rosso. 7 balls were left in the series, and also Misbah's and Yunus's career, and all that West Indies number 11 Shannon Gabriel had to do was to see out 1 ball and let Roston Chase, who was batting on 101, face the final over and also save the test for his team. Instead, he swung widely at a full delivery outside off from Yashir Shah. He inside edged the ball straight onto his stumps, sparking celebrations for Pakistan's first ever series win in Caribbean. Yunus and Misbah ended their careers with a series win for Pakistan to their name. The 2016 IPL was all about Virat Kohli, and one such innings between Virat and AB de Villiers set fire and a record for the highest T20 stand for the second wicket and also the biggest stand in all T20s at that particular time. During their 229-run assault for the Royal Challengers Bangalore against the Gujarat Lions in an IPL game in Bangalore, they needed only 96 balls to set the record and hit 26s and 14 fours in the process. In reply, the Gujarat Lions collapsed to a mere 104. May 1927 saw the birth of first ball-by-ball radio commentary in England when the Essex took on the touring team of New Zealand. Rev Frank Gillingham was the commentator on BBC's Light programme, and his 4 stints of commentary lasted only 25 minutes. The reaction to commentary was lukewarm, but it took 30 years before non-stop ball-by-ball broadcasts were launched by the BBC, and since then, it hasn't taken a step back. On 14th May 1948, one of India's most controversial, innovative coaches and tragic figures was born in Bob Woolmer at Kanpur. Woolmer's use of computers and technologies was embraced by the coaching world and used by many other coaches later on. He had a successful stint with the South African side, who were close to unstoppable except against Australia. He also coached a Pakistan team who learned the virtues of self-discipline. Woolmer was a fine batter too, good enough to play 19 tests for England. However, his efforts on the field and as coach will forever be overshadowed by his untimely and controversial death when he was the coach of the Pakistani side. Woolmer was found dead during the 2007 World Cup in Jamaica in his hotel room. Some say it was because of natural causes, and some say it was because of manual strangulation. On 13th of May 2003, the highest ever total was chased down in Test history. An amazing turnaround by the tail end of the West Indian lineup took West Indies to a win against Australia at home. Australia had beaten West Indies in the first 3 tests of a 4-test match series, and they were on top much for the 4th test match as well. Having set a target of 418, higher than any target previously chased, West Indies slipped to 74 for 3 and lost Brian Lara for 60 with the score on 165. But Ram Naresh Sarwan and Shivren Chanderpaul fought back bravely. Both scored centuries, and then later on, Omari Banks and Wasbet Drakes finished off the game by scoring 46 for the 7th wicket and finishing the game off. Banks was playing just his second test, made a spirited 47 not out, and Drakes made 27 not out and took the West Indians home. This match was also known for an ugly spat between Glenn McGrath and Ram Naresh Sarwan, which we've covered in an earlier episode this week. Moving on now to the 12th of May in 1867, this was the birth of the first man to take 2 test hat-tricks. Australian off-spinner Hugh Trumbull managed to take them both on his home ground in Melbourne and both against England too in 1901 and in 1903. He was an extremely tall man who made the ball rip spitefully on wet wickets. Trumbull's finest performance came in defeat though, when he took 12 for 89 against England at the Oval in 1896. After Trumbull's efforts, Australia were left chasing 111 to win. They collapsed to 19 for 8 and were eventually all out for 44. He bowled England to defeat with 7 for 28 in his final first-class match, the Melbourne Test of 1904, when he took his second hat-trick. Trumbull died in Melbourne in 1938. May 2019 is a day Mumbai Indians fans will remember. With 2 runs to defend off the final in 2019, Lassit Malinga bowled a slower Yorker and trapped Shardul Thakur leg before to give Mumbai Indians a record 4th IPL title in their 4th final against the perennial Chennai Super Kings. There had been more drama earlier in the final over. Shane Watson, the hero of the Super Kings in the 2018 win, had carried them from a position where they needed 62 of the last 30 balls to 9 of 20th over. After taking 4 runs of the first 3 balls of the over, Watson was run out attempting a risky second run. Newman Thakur managed 2 of the 5th ball before Malinga, who had gone for 42 runs in his first 3 overs and a dropped catch, brought the tournament to a thrilling end. May also is the birthday of another Mumbai Indians all-rounder and the West Indian Kieron Pollard, who's better known for his T20 batting exploits and some eye-popping catches on the boundary. His first 100 included 11 fours and 7 sixes. Pollard made his one-day debut in 2007 in the World Cup and then secured a $750,000 contract from the Mumbai Indians in the IPL. But all for his big hitting, he only scored his first one-day 100 in his 51st match in 2011. The year before that, Pollard along with Dwayne Bravo did as many feared and turned down a West Indian central contract because of lack of pay, so he could play in T20 leagues around the world. He was part of West Indies World T20 winning squad in 2012, but not in 2016. Apart from the IPL, Pollard looks in at the CPL, the Big Bash, the England T20 Cup, the BPL and the PSL. 11th May 2018 was the first time the 11th Test nation in Ireland was born when they took the field against Pakistan in Malahide. The first day was washed out and Ireland eventually followed on, but the game was not completely one sided. Tim Mottag's 4 wickets kept Pakistan to a score of just above 300, and in their second dig, facing a deficit of 180 runs, Ireland fought hard with Kevin O'Brien batting nearly 6 hours to become Ireland's first Test centurion. They set Pakistan a target of 160 and gave them a scare by taking 5 wickets before opener Imamul Haq steered the visitors home. Seamer Mohammad Abbas took 9 wickets in that game. 9th May 1977 will always be remembered for the Packer Carnival when all top cricketers went rogue. TV star Kerry Packer's plans for the World Series cricket were leaked. What happened here though? Actually, Kerry Packer had lost the broadcasting rights to another Australian channel. Kerry Packer was extremely disappointed to have lost those rights. Though, he didn't give up the fight. He used his marketing intelligence and he actually started a new tournament called the WSC, the World Series Championship, which would include all of the greatest cricketers and which would be played alongside the actual cricket which we see today. The tests would be called as super tests, and the teams which initially signed up were the WSC Australian 11 and the WSC West Indian 11. Over here, it was easy for Packer to get the major cricketers on board because he offered more money. Packer was a rich man and the cricketers weren't paid really well at that time. The WSC England 11 also joined in later on, and Tony Greig, the then England captain, lost and was stripped of his captaincy duties. Well, this went alongside for about 17 months before Packer got his wish and ICC and ACB bended their knees to Packer. The broadcast rights for Test crickets in Australia were given to Kerry Packer, but the legacy lives on. Initially, when Packer wasn't able to get a lot of crowd attracted towards his new format of the game, he started the shorter formats, that is one-day cricket and cricket played with coloured clothing. He got players like Viv Richards, Barry Richards and Dennis Lilly signing up for him. Without Packer, one-day cricket as we know today would not have existed. 8th of May saw the birth of two Australian legends in 1970, Michael Bevan, and 23 years apart in 1993, Patrick Cummins. Michael Bevan introduced the word finisher into the cricket dictionary with a series of performances as cool and calm as his nudging, scampering style, which was frenetic to say the least. He announced his retirement in 2007 and was one of the only two batsmen to average over 50 when he quit. Well, you might find it extraordinary that he didn't have a successful run in tests because his weakness against the short ball was exposed. Pat Cummins, who made his test debut at the age of 18 in 2011 at the Wanderers, didn't let the supporters down with his pace. But his young body let him down because he was repeatedly getting injured. Australia was finding a partner for Mitchell Johnson and Cummins returned to tests in 2018 with his figures of 10 for 62 against Sri Lanka. Those are his career best figures and he hasn't looked back ever since, as he is also the number 1 test bowler and also he is the vice captain of the Australian cricket team currently. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Friday Fact Check. Hope you enjoyed today's episode and do follow the links in the description for our Instagram and our YouTube. We'll see you tomorrow with an episode of Saturday News, and until then, stay safe, take care and see ya.